Good morning to August 10th LeetCode challenge. Flip string to monotone increasing. A binary string is a monotone increasing if it consists of some number of zeros, possibly none, followed by some number of ones, also possibly none. You're given a binary string S, so you can flip S at I, changing it from a 0 to a 1 or from 1 to 0. Return the minimum number of flips you need to make the S to make it monotone increasing. Alright, so we have the example one here. So we want to know that basically if it consists of some number 0 or 1 that we can make flip such that we get it monotonely increasing, right? What that means is that it increases to the same number it is. So for instance, we have 0, 0, and it's followed by 1. That means the rest of the numbers after this index will be 1, so it'll be monotone. So it means it has two numbers in it, such that it's either completely zeros on one side and completely ones on the other side, so it's monotone. Likewise here, we could flip, for instance, we could flip all two ones here, the two zeros here to ones, and then we'll make a monotone. Or we could flip this 1 to a 0, right, and this 1, 0 to a 1. To make a monotone. Here, I'll just copy this out and make it easier for you guys to see. So we could see that we could flip either this one and this one to make a monotone, or we could flip this to a 0 and this to a 1 to make a monotone. That's for example 2. And likewise, example 3, we see how it's possible to flip us 3 numbers after following the 1 to ones. However, the most efficient, the minimum number of flips you make is actually 2, just to flip these two ones to 0, and then we get an entire string full of zeros. Alright, so let's go about solving this by recognizing that we have a bit of a pattern here. So let's start with an empty string, and we could add either a 0 to a 1 to the tail to make it longer, right? So let's say if we have a case 1, if there's no need to flip anything because 1 keeps on increasing anyways, right? So saying if we have a complete string of 1s, then we don't need to increase anything. Same thing with 0. So we want to be able to find the maximum number of flips and the minimum amount of flips between either flipping either these two zeros or these two to 0 or these 3 to 1s, right? So we have two options for that, and let's kind of go about solving that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to keep track of the occurrence of zeros, of 1s I should say. I just need to keep track of something, so call this 1s, and then keeping track of that, the first thing I'm going to do is start with a string of 0 1s. I'm going to iterate through it. Then we'll keep track of something called flips, or flip. So that's the number of flips we're going to make. That's what I'm going to return as well. So I'm going to iterate through S. So for each character in string of S, what we're going to do is if the character is equal to the string, the character 1, then we're going to increment our 1s, right? Our counting 1s. Right? 1s incremented. Because the current digit is 1, so there's no need to flip when a 1 is on the tail end of the current substring. So the next thing we want to do is, so that's if, right? We don't need to do anything because we just keep track. Else, what we want to do is, if it's followed by a 0, if the current digit is a 0, right? If it's not a 1, then it's obviously a 0. Then we need to flip it when 0 is on the tail end without of the current substring. So we have two options here. So either where the current number is a 0, we flip a current 0 to a 1, keeping the leading digits, then the substring is a monotone increasing. Or the second option is flipping to a 0, so we keep the current 0, and then the substring is monotonely increasing. So then we just have to find the optimal solution. So basically that means that we have to assign flip to be the minimum between either flip plus 1, flip plus 1, or the number of occurrences of 1s plus, yeah, occurrences of 1s. So basically, you have to flip, at the number of 1s here, we have to flip. So there's two options here. Option 1 being flip a current 0 to a 1 and keep the leading digits, then the substring is monotone increasing. Option 2 being flip the leading is 0, right? Then keep the current 0, then the substring is monotone increasing. So this one, we just pick the minimum between those two. And then we want to return flip. Submit this to see if this works. Submit. Okay, accepted. So time complexity is big O of n because we have a for loop here. Space complexity is it's constant space. Oops. Constant space. And yeah, that's it. Have a great day, guys.